I once used mountain block, grounding, sitting stance, classical martial arts techniques that are found in Taekwondo to keep a woman from being crushed to death on the train. I was reminded about this by the Travis Scott incident.
Where them kicks at? Where them hands? Where them holes? Where them throws? You know what I'm saying?
And while they were here, they always wore masks.
Please, just get the damn vaccine.
In this section of the video, the only visuals you're going to get are two versions of the mountain block. One is the way you actually practice it with the arms up. The second way is the way I applied it to keep the crowd from crushing the woman, which is with your arms parallel. I would say just practice it with the arms up the way I had been practicing it, because my body automatically adjusted and moved the arms down when I actually had to use it. So what happened is that I think about 20 years before the making of this video, when I was working downtown, and the Travis Scott incident reminded me of this awful situation. They were packing the metro trains like you wouldn't believe. People were just cram on the train. And, you know, sometimes it got to be a little uncomfortable. And on this particular day, I happened to be standing near a doorway. So the traffic of the people trying to come in is coming from my right side, my strong side, thank God. And I felt like I was going to get knocked over. A few people got knocked over, knocked back, and stumbled down. But since I am a martial artist, I went into my sitting stance. I said, well, they say this is how you use it to defend yourself sideways, and it worked. So people couldn't knock me off balance. So a whole bunch of people, I counted about 10 of them at first glance, they were knocked back when I did that, just the sitting stance. And then they got mad, tried to rush it again. And then I just did my grounding and sitting and did the visualizing thing that they tell you to do when you're grounding to keep you close to the earth. And it worked. And they couldn't get in. They were kind of mad about that. So they kind of brushed back, and then they tried to come again. And I just held it. Then all of a sudden, I hear, help. I look around. I don't see anybody looks like need help. I see everybody else just kind of jostling for elbow room. And then I heard, help, please. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. So then I look down, and there's a woman standing pretty close to me. She's kind of small. So first I looked, and it's like, well, I don't see the force coming behind her back. So she should be okay. But then I see like more and more people were like squeezing in. And then I could see the force getting on her from the crowd. And I noticed it was coming from the side. So I was like, okay. And she's like, please, somebody help me. Somebody help me. Nobody's helping her. I guess I'm going to have to do it. So then I went really deep. I had my arms up just like out of a form. The form where you practice this move in my style of Taekwondo is Toige tool. Toige. I'll put a link to all that in the description. So I had the mountain block up. So then that knocked people back again. Then they got even more angry. And this time I counted about 20, 25 of them. And I remember reading in I think it was a Tai Chi text, but don't quote me, where somebody had said that you could use this form. You could like this move could like push 20, 25 people back or something like that. And you see those chi demonstrations where people are grounded and they try to move them and they can't move them with the chi or whatever, right? Because they're so chi-ful. And the person can't budge them because they're grounded and they've got really good body positioning. So I had the arms up, like you see in one picture here that's going to be looping back and forth. So then the force of the crowd came and they were pushing. So I had to move my arms down, and I made my arms parallel. And I looked down at the floor, and I just shifted a little bit to get her between me. And I told her, come here. And she made her way to. I had to pull her into me a little bit. Not right up against me, but on the inside of my arms where she was aligned right in front of my trunk. And I just held it. And so I held it, and then people kept trying to push. They tried to push. And I remember they tried to really push again. And I just imagined myself sending energy out. I guess you could call it ki without ki. So I sent energy out with my mind. I felt it go out through my body, and enough of them went flying back. I mean, it's not like they just exploded like it was an explosion. They just stumbled back. It really didn't look, like anything really spectacular. So they were knocked back, and then the door closed. And then the train started moving. So after that happened, I was able to stand up. And when I stood up, that freed up enough room for her to breathe again. And she was going, oh my God, thank you. Thank you. And I was just like, I can't believe they were doing that, man. So that Travis Scott incident reminded me of that. There are situations where people can be trying to stampede and force and push on a train. And I'm sure that train stampedes, concert stampedes, there are things that happen. Now, one thing I will try to say about the Travis Scott situation in general is I hope that we do not try to blame all of hip hop for what happened at that one event. That is not hip hop's fault. That is only the fault of the people who contributed to the bad behavior, not the entire genre. Second note is internet, this also falls under, this is why I train in martial arts. These moves that you swear have no practical use, or that you want to go, I don't see the point in it, or just because you can't do mountain block, actually you could, but just because you don't see people doing mountain block and holding it firm in competition or sport fighting, that doesn't mean it doesn't have a use. It doesn't mean that it can't be used to help someone for real. I used it to help someone for real. Not me, someone else. I use it to help someone else and keep her from being crushed to death. And if it wasn't for that Travis Scott thing, I swear I'd have forgot about it. Because there's been so many other instances where I've used martial arts in real life to help people. Now, hey, you don't have to believe me. I know a lot of you won't. And I don't care. For those that have ears to hear, that's one way you can protect yourself with mountain block and your sitting stance and grounding. Because remember, if the weight's coming at you sideways, that's what that stance is for, and that can keep you from getting knocked down. And if you have a good structure, and you have good positioning, you don't have to be hard and soft at the same time to do something like I did. Okay? Any other internal type training that you got would just be icing on the cake, because that's not the first thing I fell back on. I didn't think about, let me project my energy out. The first thing I fell on was, let me get in a position. Let me hold it. Then let me adjust the position against these people, right? So once I got all that, and then I saw they kept forcing, then I remembered, let me try some energy or something. And I just did it. So I'm thinking when I did the energy, I probably scooted down and snapped out a little bit more just to get the force. And that made them all stagger back so that the train operator could close the door. Okay? It's a true story. I hope if the lady that was involved in this, if she ever happens to see this video, please post down below this that, yes, that was you and this happened. Because all the naysaying critical trolls who hate the internet trolls who hate traditional martial arts are going to try to misguide people and tell them that you can't do something like this, that this is impossible. It's not impossible. It's very possible. I did it. I know it's possible. It's about body positioning, and it's about energy too. And it's a move that a lot of you will swear has no use in the real world. It does. These martial arts forms, these are repositories, I call it databases of movement. Learn all the moves. Stick them in your subconscious. And as long as you don't have a barrier to them, they're going to pop out when you need them. I never went into a mountain block to prevent being mugged. I never went into a mountain block for contests. Now, I did use mountain block as a pin because it looks like Yoko Shiogatami. I'm going to put a link to applications for Toy-Gay tool below this. So that's probably where I've used mountain block in contest, was when I was doing judo. Okay? So thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Please share this with people like to talk about the martial arts in peace. And as always, everyone, thank you for your time. And one extra request, again, don't blame that Astro World thing on all of hip hop. It is only the fault of bad actors that were involved. Peace.